The train's last light bled into the white, and the girl didn't move. Not when the wind hit 20 below, not when her breath turned to frost on her collar. Tom Mercer saw her from Highway 2, kneeling beside the Burlington Northern tracks like she was praying to something that had already left. Pink coat torn at the shoulder, one sneaker, hands the color of old snow. He should have kept driving. Grain elevator closed early, blizzard coming, another 30 miles to the ranch. Not his problem. But she wasn't crying. That's what stopped him. Children cried when they were cold. She was past that, just kneeling there, staring down the empty line like someone was still coming back. Tom pulled the Silverado onto the shoulder, sat there, engine running, watching her through the windshield. Wind screaming, visibility dropping. The smart thing was to call the sheriff from Shelby. He thought of Sarah, tried not to, failed. He killed the engine and stepped into the storm. She didn't look at him when he knelt beside her, didn't flinch when he touched her shoulder, just kept staring down the tracks like someone was still coming back. "Hey." Tom's voice came out rougher than he meant. Wind tearing at his coat. "You okay?" Nothing. Not even a blink. He crouched lower, knees cracking, snow soaking through his jeans. Up close, she was worse. Lips blue-gray, face hollow, eyes fixed on the horizon, like she was watching for headlights that would never come. "Where's your folks?" Silence. Tom looked around. No car. No footprints except hers and a second set, adult size, leading to the tracks then stopping, like someone had walked her here and left. His gut twisted. "How long you been out here?" She blinked. Once. That was it. The wind kicked up, visibility dropping to nothing. Tom felt the cold working through his coat, his boots. She'd been here longer, maybe hours. Her right hand was curled wrong, fingers stiff, frostbite starting. "Listen, I ain't gonna hurt you, but you're gonna freeze if you stay." He reached for her arm. She pulled back, fast. First real movement. Tom raised both hands, backing off an inch. Okay. He sat back on his heels, let her see his face. "I'm Tom. I got a ranch about 30 miles that way." Pointed west. "Warm, got food, you understand?" Her eyes flicked to him, pale blue, old eyes in a kid's face. "You don't gotta talk, but you gotta move. Can you stand?" She looked at her legs like she wasn't sure they still worked, then nodded. Small. Tom stood, held out his hand, waited. The blizzard screamed around them, train tracks disappearing into white. She stared at his hand for what felt like a full minute, then put hers in it. Her skin was ice. Tom's chest clenched. Too cold, too long. This kid should be in an ER, not a truck. But Shelby's hospital was 20 miles back, and the roads were closing. Ranch was closer, warm. He'd call from there. He pulled her up. She wobbled, legs giving out. Tom caught her, light as a sack of grain, all bones. "I got you." He lifted her. She didn't fight, didn't help, just went limp like a rag doll, dead weight in his arms. Carried her to the truck, put her in the passenger seat. She sank into it, staring straight ahead at nothing. Tom cranked the heat to max. Grabbed the wool blanket from behind the seat. Smelled like cattle and diesel, but it was thick. Wrapped it around her shoulders. She didn't move to hold it, so he tucked it tight. "What's your name?" Silence. "Where are you from?" Nothing. Tom rubbed his face. "Okay. Trauma or shock, or maybe she just didn't speak English. Didn't matter right now. Hypothermia first, questions later." He pulled back onto Highway 2, heading west. Snow pounding the windshield, wipers barely keeping up, radio crackling weather warnings, wind chill 40 below, roads closing, stay inside. Tom glanced at her. She was staring at the heater vents like she'd never seen warm air before. Her hands, still curled, still wrong, were starting to shake. Good sign. Meant her body was fighting back. "You hungry?" She turned to look at him, slow, then nodded. "All right, get you fed, warmed up. Then we'll figure out the rest." But even as he said it, he knew there was no "we'll figure it out." He should take her to town. Sheriff's office. Let them handle it. State services, foster system, whatever came next. That was the smart thing. The legal thing. He thought about that empty spot where footprints led to the tracks and stopped. Someone had left her there. On purpose. In a blizzard. And they weren't coming back. Tom's hands tightened on the wheel. At the county road turnoff, he paused, left to Shelby. Right to the ranch. He turned right. The ranch appeared through the snow. 2-story log house. Barn dark against white. One window glowing yellow. Ruth's lamp. She always lit it at dusk. Been doing it 30 years. "So, you know someone's home," she'd say. Tom pulled up to the house, killed the engine, sat there a second. "Just for tonight," he said, partly to her, mostly to himself. "Get you warm fed. We'll call someone tomorrow." The girl looked at the house, then at him, her mouth opened. First time she'd tried to speak. "Thank you." Voice like gravel, like she'd been screaming and stopped. Tom froze. 2 words. First words. Yeah, he managed. Yeah, okay. He got out, came around, opened her door. She slid down, blanket wrapped tight, stood there swaying. Tom wanted to carry her again, but didn't. Let her walk. She needed to know she could. They made it to the porch. Tom opened the door. Warmth hit like a wall. Wood smoke, coffee, something cooking. Home. The girl stood in the doorway, snow melting off her coat, puddling on the floor. Ruth appeared from the kitchen, 64, black feet, silver braid down her back, wiping her hands on a dish towel. She took one look at the girl, then at Tom, didn't ask a single question. Well, Ruth said, bring her in. She's freezing. Tom stepped aside. The girl looked up at him, asking permission maybe, or checking if this was real. Go on, Tom said. She crossed the threshold. Behind them, the blizzard buried the tracks, and for the first time in 12 years, Tom Mercer's house had a child in it again. Ruth didn't ask questions when he walked in with the girl, just put a pot of soup on and started heating, water for a bath, like she'd been expecting this all along. Sit her by the stove, Ruth said, already moving. Tom guided the girl to the kitchen chair nearest the wood stove. She sat, didn't lean back, didn't relax, just sat there, wrapped in the blanket, dripping snow onto Ruth's clean floor. Ruth pulled the wet coat off her shoulders, gently, like handling something broken. The coat underneath was worse than Tom thought, not just torn, filthy. Sleeves too short, showing thin wrists. When Ruth peeled it away, Tom saw what he'd missed in the truck. Bruises on her arms, old ones, yellow-green, fading, but there. Ruth's jaw tightened. She looked at Tom, said nothing, didn't need to. Found her by the tracks, Tom said. No one around. Ruth nodded once. Archie draped the ruined coat over a chair. She got a name? Didn't say. She talk at all? 2 words. In the truck. Ruth looked at the girl. You got a name, child? The girl stared at the stove, flames visible through the grate. She didn't answer. All right, Ruth said. We'll sort that later. She went to the stove, ladled soup from the pot that was always simmering, beef barley, made that morning, like she made every morning whether anyone was there to eat it or not. Set the bowl in front of the girl. Spoon, napkin folded beside it. The girl looked at it like it might disappear. Go on, Ruth said. It's yours. The girl picked up the spoon, slow, like she was testing if anyone would stop her, brought it to her mouth, swallowed. Her eyes closed for a second, just a second, and Tom saw something crack in that blank face. Relief. Or maybe just hunger so deep it hurt. She ate, methodical, not fast, not slow, just steady, like she'd learned not to draw attention. Tom sat across the table, poured himself coffee he didn't want, watched, tried not to stare, failed. She was maybe 8, maybe younger, hard to tell when they were this thin. Blonde hair matted, face smudged with dirt and something darker. Her hands shook holding the spoon, aftershocks from the cold. Ruth stood at the counter, cutting bread, watching. After a minute she said, low, how long you think she was out there? Couple hours, maybe more. In that? Ruth gestured at the window, snow hammering the glass. Yeah. Lord, Tom drank his coffee. Bitter, cold already. He made himself say it. I should have taken her to town. Ruth sliced another piece of bread. Why didn't you? Good question. Tom didn't have a good answer. Roads were closing. Roads close every winter. That ain't why. Tom looked at her. Ruth looked back. She'd worked for him 30 years. Knew him better than he knew himself. I don't know why, he said. Ruth set the bread on a plate. Yes, you do. Before Tom could answer, the girl set down her spoon, bowl empty. She looked up at Ruth, first direct eye contact. Thank you, she whispered. Ruth's face softened. You're welcome, child. She took the bowl. You want more? The girl shook her head. How about a bath? Get you cleaned up. The girl's eyes went wide. Fear. Fast. Ruth saw it. Stopped moving. Just warm water, nothing else. You can keep the door open if you want. The girl looked at Tom, asking something. Permission? Protection? Ruth's good people, Tom said. She'll take care of you. The girl studied his face, then looked back at Ruth. Small nod. All right, then. Ruth held out her hand. Come on. The girl stood, took Ruth's hand. They disappeared down the hall. Tom sat alone in the kitchen, heard water running, pipes groaning, the house settling into night. He stared at the empty bowl, the wet coat draped over the chair, the puddle of snow melt on his floor. What the hell am I doing? He should call the sheriff, right now. Gary Holst would come out, take the girl, handle it proper. That's what you did when you found a kid. You didn't just keep her. Tom reached for the phone on the wall, stood there with his hand on it. Heard Ruth's voice from the bathroom, low and gentle. That's it. Just sit. Water won't hurt you. A small splash. Silence. Then another splash. Tom let go of the phone. He walked to the window instead. Looked out at nothing. Snow, dark, the barn light swaying in the wind. Thought about those footprints at the tracks. Adult-sized. Leading there and stopping. Someone had walked that kid out into a blizzard and left her. Who does that? Tom's reflection stared back at him from the glass. 58 years old, gray hair, lines deep around his eyes. 12 years alone, except for Ruth. 12 years of waking up in this house and walking through rooms no one used. 12 years since Sarah. The bath took 20 minutes. Tom heard the water shut off. Quiet voices. Then Ruth and the girl came back down the hall. The kid was wearing flannel pajamas, oversized, sleeves rolled up 3 times, dragging on the floor. Tom recognized them. Hadn't seen them in 12 years. Sarah's. Ruth must have kept them somewhere. The girl's hair was wet, combed straight, face clean. She looked smaller somehow, younger, fragile. Ruth caught Tom staring, gave him a look that said, "Don't." "Got her a room ready," Ruth said. "Guest room upstairs." Tom nodded, didn't trust his voice. Ruth led the way up. Tom followed. The girl walked between them, silent, pajama legs swishing. The guest room was small, clean. Bed with quilts Ruth had made years ago. Nightstand with a lamp. Window looking out over the dark fields. The girl stood in the doorway, didn't enter, just looked. "It's yours," Tom said. Came out awkward. "Long as you need it." She looked at him. Really looked. Studying his face like she was trying to figure out if he meant it. Then she stepped inside. Slow, like testing ice. Ruth pulled back the quilts. "You sleep now. We're right downstairs if you need anything." The girl climbed into bed, disappeared into the covers. Just her face showing. "Night, child," Ruth said. Tom stood there. Should probably say something. Couldn't think what. Finally managed. "Sleep good." They left, pulled the door halfway closed. Tom heard the bed creak as she shifted. In the hallway, Ruth kept her voice low. "That child's been hurt." "I know. Not just the cold. Hurt." Tom looked back at the cracked door. "Yeah." Ruth touched his arm. "What are you gonna do?" "I don't know." "You can't keep her, Tom. You know that." "I know." "And so?" "So I'll figure it out tomorrow." Ruth searched his face. Whatever she saw there made her sigh. All right. Tomorrow." She headed downstairs. "I'm going home. Soup's on the stove if she wakes up hungry." "Thanks, Ruth." She paused at the landing. "Thomas?" "Yeah?" "You did the right thing, bringing her here." Then she was gone. Front door closing, truck starting, taillights disappearing into the storm. Tom stood alone in the hallway. House, too quiet. He walked downstairs, tried to settle, couldn't. Paced the kitchen, poured coffee, didn't drink it. Finally gave up and went out on the porch. Cold hit like a fist. Wind still screaming. He should have grabbed his coat but didn't care. Stood there, in his flannel shirt, arms crossed, watching nothing, pulled out a cigarette. Hadn't smoked in 6 months but kept a pack in the barn for nights like this. Lit it, drew deep. Thought about Sarah. Always thought about Sarah. 7 years old. Pneumonia. He was in Denver. Clara called. "Tom, come home." He said, "Otis, it's just a cold." She said, "Please." And he said, "I'm closing a land deal. I'll be back Friday." Sarah died Wednesday. He got home Friday. Too late to say goodbye. Too late to say anything. Tom crushed the cigarette under his boot. He heard something, turned. The girl was standing in the kitchen doorway, backlit by the stove, still wearing the 2 big pajamas, bare feet. "Can't sleep?" Tom said. She shook her head. "Yeah, me neither." They stood there, snow falling between the porch and the door, long silence. "You want some milk?" Tom asked. She nodded. Tom came inside, stamped the snow off, went to the fridge, poured 2 glasses. They sat at the kitchen table, same spots as before, didn't talk, just sat. After a while, she said, "How long can I stay?" Tom chose his words careful. "How long you need to." "They might come back." "Who?" She didn't answer, just drank her milk, small sips. Then, "Can I ask you something?" "Sure." "Why'd you stop? At the tracks?" Tom's chest tightened. A hell of a question. He looked at her, 8 years old, maybe less, sitting in his kitchen in his dead daughter's pajamas, asking the one thing he didn't know how to answer. "Couldn't leave you there," he said finally. "Why not?" Tom looked at his milk, at the table, at the wood grain worn smooth by 30 years of meals, looked back at her. "Someone's got to stay." She tilted her head, processing. "Stay where?" "Just stay, be there, when it matters." She thought about that, took another sip, then nodded, like it made sense. "Okay," she said. She finished her milk, stood. "Thank you." "Yeah." She walked back upstairs. Tom heard the guest room door close. Soft click. He sat alone. Stared at the 2 empty glasses on the table. Someone's got to stay. Ruth's line. She'd said it to him once, years ago, when Clara left. When Tom wanted to sell the ranch, leave Montana, start over somewhere no one knew him, Ruth had said, "Someone's got to stay. Keep the light burning, in case someone needs it." He'd stayed. Not because he believed it, because he didn't know where else to go. Now he'd just said the same thing to a kid who'd been left beside train tracks in a blizzard, and he realized, sitting there in his kitchen at midnight with snow piling up outside, he'd already made his decision. She wasn't leaving tomorrow. He didn't know what came next. Didn't know how to explain it to the sheriff or the state or anyone else, but she wasn't leaving. Tom stood, rinsed the glasses, put them in the sink, looked at the window where Ruth's lamp still burned, and for the first time in 12 years, the house didn't feel quite so empty. The coat hung in Sarah's closet for 12 years, pink, small, still smelling faintly of her. And when Tom pulled it out and handed it to the girl, he didn't say whose it was. 3 days passed. The girl still hadn't told them her name. Tom started calling her Kid when he had to call her anything. Ruth just said Child. She moved through the house like a ghost. Quiet, careful, ate when Ruth put food in front of her, slept, watched the snow through windows, didn't touch anything unless told to. Fourth morning, Ruth cornered Tom in the barn. "She needs a proper coat. Winter's not done." Tom nodded. The torn pink thing was in the trash. Couldn't be saved. "Want me to run to town?" Ruth asked. Tom thought about walking into Stockman's Dry Goods with a kid who wasn't his. Questions, stares, gossip moving faster than trucks on county roads. "No," he said. "I'll handle it." Ruth gave him a look. "How you going to handle it without going to town?" Tom didn't answer, just walked back to the house. He stood in the hallway upstairs, second door on the right, white paint, brass knob, hadn't touched it. In 12 years. His hand shook when he reached for it. The door opened with a small creak. Dust, air that hadn't moved in over a decade. Everything exactly where it was. February 1982, bed made, stuffed rabbit on the pillow. Drawings taped to the walls, horses mostly. Sarah loved horses. He'd promised her one. Never got around to it. Tom's throat closed up. He made himself walk to the closet, opened it, smelled mothballs and something else. Something gone. The box was on the shelf. Cardboard. Sarah, Winter, written in Clara's handwriting. He pulled it down, set it on the bed, opened it. The coat was on top. Pink, Land's End, size 7/8. Sarah had picked it out of the catalog. "That one, Daddy." The pink one. He'd ordered it. Paid extra for fast shipping. She wore it twice before she got sick. Tom lifted it out, held it up. Small, so damn small. Heard a sound behind him, turned. The girl was standing in the doorway, watching. "You shouldn't be up here," Tom said. Came out harder than he meant. She didn't move. Just looked at the room, at the drawings, at the coat in his hands. Tom softened. "Sorry, this was my daughter's room." The girl stepped in, slow, like stepping into a church. "She died?" "Yeah." "When?" "Long time ago." The girl walked to the drawings, studied them. She liked horses. "Yeah, she did." "Did you get her one?" Tom's chest hurt. "No, I didn't." The girl nodded, matter of fact, then looked at the coat. "Is that hers?" "Yeah." "It's pretty." Tom looked at the coat, then at her. Standing there in clothes too big, face still too thin, hands that had been frostbit 4 days ago, he held it out. "Try it on." She blinked. "What?" "You need a coat. Try it." But it's... She don't need it anymore." The girl stared at him, at the coat, back at him. "Whose is it?" she asked, testing, wanting him to say it. Tom swallowed. "Yours now." She took it. Careful, like it might break. Put it on, slid her arms in, zipped it up. It fit. Almost perfect. Just a little big in the shoulders. She looked down at herself, then up at Tom. "Thank you." Tom couldn't speak, just nodded. "But whose was it?" she pressed. "Before?" Long pause. Tom forced the words out. "Someone who don't need it anymore." The girl studied his face. Kid eyes, old soul. She knew. Knew he was lying and telling the truth at the same time. "Okay," she said quietly. She turned to the mirror on Sarah's dresser, looked at herself, touched the zipper, the pockets. Then she didn't take it off, just stood there wearing it. Tom had to leave, had to get out of that room before something in him broke. "Come on," he said. "Ruth's got breakfast." But the girl didn't follow right away. She looked around the room one more time. At the bed, the rabbit, the drawings. "Was she nice?" she asked. Tom stopped in the doorway. Back to her. "Best kid I ever knew." "Oh, better than me?" The question hit like a fist. Tom turned, saw her face. The real question underneath, am I good enough to wear her coat? Different, Tom said. Not better. The girl seemed to accept that, nodded, followed him downstairs. That afternoon, Tom was checking the near pasture fence, pretending to work, really just avoiding the house, avoiding thinking about what he'd done. Gave away Sarah's coat to a kid I found 4 days ago. A kid I don't even know. He heard footsteps in the snow, turned. The girl was there. Pink coat zipped up, watching him work. You shouldn't be out here, Tom said. It's cold. I like it. And Tom went back to the fence. She didn't leave, just stood there. After a minute, he gave up pretending to work. You got something to say? Do you have kids? She asked. Tom's hand stopped. He didn't look at her. Had one, long time ago. Where are they? Gone. Dead? The word hung there. Tom finally turned. Yeah. The girl nodded. No shock, no pity, just fact. Death was simple when you were 8, then. That's whose coat this is. Not a question, a statement. Yeah, Tom said. Was she nice? You asked me that already. I know. But was she? Tom looked at the horizon. Gray sky, white fields, nothing moving. Yeah, she was nice, kind, funny, smart as hell. His voice cracked. Better than I deserved. The girl was quiet. Then, my name's Lily. Tom looked at her. First time she'd said it. 4 days and finally a name. Lily, he repeated. Tested it. That's a good name. My mom said I was born in a field of lilies. She paused. Don't know if that's true. Your mom around? Lily's face closed like a door. No. Tom didn't push. Well, Lily's a good name anyway. They stood there, wind cutting across the pasture. Cattle in the distance, dark shapes against white, the fence between them creaking. I like it here, Lily said. Yeah. It's quiet. Tom almost smiled. Yeah, it is. Can I stay? The question caught him off guard. Direct, no build-up. Tom crouched down, eye level. For now, yeah. For how long? I don't know. But not forever. Tom wanted to lie. Wanted to say sure, forever, but he couldn't. I don't know, Lily. She looked at him with those old eyes. Okay. She turned and walked back to the house. Pink coat bright against the snow. Tom watched her go. What the hell am I doing? That night, dinner felt different. Ruth made pot roast. They sat together, Tom, Ruth, Lily, plates full, quiet but not uncomfortable. Lily talked. Not a lot, but more than before. Small things. I like dogs, she said, out of nowhere. Tom looked up. Yeah? We had one once, a little brown one. Don't remember its name. We don't have a dog here, Tom said. I know. Lily cut her carrots. That's okay. Ruth asked, You ever seen real snow before, like this? Lily shook her head. Lived somewhere warm. Can't remember where exactly. Tom wanted to ask more. Didn't. Let her give what she wanted to give. You like school? Ruth asked. Lily shrugged. Sometimes. You good at anything? Reading, I guess. And drawing, she looked at Tom. Like your daughter. The room went quiet. Tom set down his fork. She was good at drawing, he said finally. Real good. Can I see them? Her drawings? Tom's throat tightened. They're still up in her room. Can I go look? Ruth glanced at Tom. He nodded. After dinner, Ruth said. They finished eating. Lily helped clear plates, didn't ask, just started doing it. Ruth washed, Lily dried. Tom watched from the table. After, Ruth did what she did every night, went to the windowsill, lit the oil lamp, set it in the window facing the road. Lily watched. Why do you do that? Ruth turned. So you know someone's home. But I'm already inside. Not just for you, for everyone. Means someone's here if you need 'em. Lily thought about that. Will you do it every night? Every night. Even when I'm gone? Ruth's hands stilled. She looked at Tom. He looked away. Even then, Ruth said softly. Lily seemed satisfied. She looked at Tom. Can I go see the drawings now? Yeah, go ahead. She went upstairs. They heard her footsteps in Sarah's room, heard the door stay open. Ruth sat across from Tom, kept her voice low. You talked to anyone yet? No. Tom. I know. It's been almost a week. I know. Someone's gonna come looking. School, social services. Someone? Tom rubbed his face. Let them come. Ruth leaned forward. You can't just keep her. You know that. Why not? Because she ain't yours. She ain't anybody's. That's the problem. Ruth sighed. That's not how it works. Tom stood, walked to the window, looked at the lamp Ruth had just lit, flame steady behind glass. I'm not giving her back to whoever left her at those tracks. That ain't the choice. She'd go to the state. Foster care. They'd find her a family. I got a family. Right here. Ruth was quiet. Then, Thomas, what are you really doing? Tom didn't answer. Footsteps on the stairs. Lily appeared. She'd been looking at the drawings. Her face was different, softer. She was really good, Lily said. Yeah, Tom managed. Lily came over, stood next to him at the window, looked out at the dark fields, the barn light, the snow that never seemed to stop. Can I ask you something? She said. Sure. Are you going to call the police? Tom's stomach dropped. Why would I? Because I don't have a mom or dad here. That's illegal, right? Where'd you hear that? I just know things. Tom looked down at her, 8 years old, already knew how the world worked. You want me to call? He asked. She shook her head, fast, scared. Then I won't. What if they come looking? For you? She nodded. Tom knelt, eye level with her. Then we'll deal with it. You promise? He was making a promise he couldn't keep. Knew it, said it anyway. I promise. Lily searched his face, looking for the lie. Didn't find one because Tom believed it himself, even if it wasn't true. Okay, she whispered. She went upstairs. They heard the guest room door close. Ruth stood, put her coat on. You're in over your head. I know. And you're doing it anyway. Yeah. She looked at him for a long moment, then shook her head. Lord help us both. She left, truck starting. Gone. Tom sat alone in the kitchen, lamp burning in the window, house settling, wind outside. He thought about that promise. We'll deal with it. But how? When the sheriff showed up? When the state came calling? What was he supposed to say? Found her by the tracks. Decided to keep her? He was already attached. That was the problem. 5 days, and he cared what happened to her. Cared if she smiled, if she ate, if she felt safe. And caring meant it would hurt when they took her away. Because they would take her. That's what happened. The system had rules. He'd broken every single one. Tom looked at the empty glass Lily had left on the table, the pink coat hanging on the back of the chair. He was already too deep, and he had no idea how to get out, or if he even wanted to. The sheriff's cruiser came up the drive just after breakfast, slow and deliberate, and Ruth said what Tom was thinking. That didn't take long. Tom was in the barn checking hay bales when he heard the engine. Diesel, county vehicle. He knew before he looked. Deputy Gary Holst's cruiser, white with the green stripe, coming up the road at exactly the speed limit. Not rushing, not casual either. Tom set down the hay hook, walked out into the cold morning light. The cruiser parked by the house. Gary got out, 45, thick mustache, wearing the tan uniform and the face of a man doing something he didn't want to do. Tom? Gary. They stood there, 20 feet apart, breath fogging between them. Need a word, Gary said. About? Gary's jaw worked. Got a call from the school district. Said a girl matching a description showed up at your place. That true? Tom felt something drop in his stomach. Who called? Doesn't matter. Is she here? Tom weighed his options. Lying made it worse. Always did. Yeah. Can I see her? She's fine. Fed, warm, safe. Gary took off his hat, ran a hand through his hair. Tom, you know I gotta report this. You can't just keep a kid. I found her by the tracks, alone, freezing. Was I supposed to leave her? No, but you were supposed to bring her to us. Or the hospital. This looks like... He stopped. Like what? Tom's voice went hard. Gary put his hat back on. Careful. Like something it ain't. But people talk, Tom. You know how it is. Let 'em talk. It's been over a week. State's gonna want to know where she came from, who her people are. She don't have people. That's the point. Then she goes into the system until they figure it out. No, that ain't up to you. They stared at each other. Gary'd known Tom 20 years, bought cattle from him, drank with him at Stockman's. But right now he was wearing the badge, and the badge had rules. I gotta call this in, Gary said finally. Judge will want to see her. Probably want her in foster care while they investigate. Tom's hands curled into fists. Over my dead body. Tom, don't make this harder than it is. You got kids, Gary? You know I do. Someone left her out there to die, in a blizzard. What would you do? Gary's face softened, just for a second. Then the badge came back. I'd follow the law, same as I'm asking you to do. He got back in his cruiser, sat there writing something, then handed Tom a paper through the window. Court date, Thursday, Great Falls, Judge Payne presiding. You don't show up, they'll issue a warrant. For what? Unlawful custody of a minor, maybe more, depending. Gary started the engine. Looked at Tom one more time. I'm sorry, Tom, I really am. The cruiser pulled away. Tom stood holding the paper. Court summons. 10 days from now. 10 days. He crumpled the paper, uncurled his fist, smoothed it out, read it again like the words might change. They didn't. He walked back to the house. Ruth was at the kitchen window. She'd seen everything. "Well?" she said when he came in. Tom set the paper on the table. Ruth picked it up, read. Her mouth went tight. "Thursday." "Yeah." "What are you going to do?" "I don't know." From upstairs came small footsteps. Lily appeared at the bottom of the stairs, wearing the pink coat even inside. She wouldn't take it off anymore. Slept in it, like if she let go, it would disappear. She looked at Tom's face, then at Ruth's. Kid radar for trouble. "What's wrong?" Lily asked. Tom forced his voice steady. "Nothing. Everything's fine." But Lily knew. She always knew. Her face went blank. That shutdown look from the first night. "Someone's coming," she said. Not a question. Tom didn't answer. Couldn't lie. Couldn't tell the truth either. Ruth stepped in. "How about you help me with the biscuits?" Lily didn't move, just stared at Tom. "You promised." "I know. You said you'd deal with it." "I am dealing with it." "You're lying." The word hung there. True. Undeniable. Tom knelt down. "Lily, listen to me. This ain't over. I'm going to fight this. But there's people, the law, they got rules. And we got to follow them for a bit, okay?" "What does that mean?" Tom looked at Ruth. She shook her head. No help there. He looked back at Lily. "Means we go see a judge, explain things, and then they take me away." "No. Maybe. I don't know." Lily's eyes filled. First time Tom had seen her close to crying. But she didn't cry. Just went cold, dead. The way she'd looked at the tracks that first night. "Everyone leaves," she whispered. Then she turned and went upstairs. Door closed. Not a slam, just a quiet click that felt worse. Ruth let out a breath. Lord. Tom stood, paced the kitchen, grabbed his coat. "Where are you going?" Ruth asked. "Anywhere else." He drove. No destination. Just drove. County roads turned to white scars across empty land. He ended up at the tracks. Same spot he'd found her 10 days ago. Felt like years. Tom got out, stood where she'd been kneeling. Wind cutting through everything. Train tracks running east-west, disappearing into nothing both ways. He thought about the coat, Sarah's coat. He'd given it to Lily thinking it would fix something, like he could pour his guilt into pink fabric and zip it up and make it all okay. But it didn't fix anything. It just made him more attached. Made it hurt worse knowing they'd take her. The coat wasn't healing. It was a wound he kept reopening. That night, Tom couldn't face dinner. Stayed in the barn until after dark. When he finally came in, the house was quiet. Ruth had gone home. Lily was in her room. Tom stood in the hallway upstairs, looked at her closed door, thought about knocking, didn't. Instead, he went to Sarah's room. First time since he'd given the coat away. The box was still on the bed, open. Empty except for a scarf and mittens. He sat on Sarah's bed. In the dark, didn't turn on the light. Heard a sound, turned. Lily was standing in the doorway, backlit by the hall light, still wearing the coat. "Is this her room?" she asked. "Yeah." Lily stepped in, looked at the drawings on the walls, the stuffed rabbit, the bed where Tom sat. "She was little," Lily said. 7. "How'd she die?" "Sick. Pneumonia." "Where were you?" Tom's throat closed. "Denver, working." Why didn't you come home?" "I thought it was just a cold. I thought I had time." Lily walked to the window, looked out at nothing. "That's sad." "Yeah." She turned. Kid eyes. "Too old." "Is that why you saved me? Because you couldn't save her?" Tom felt like he'd been punched. 8 years old, and she'd just cut straight through to the bone. "Maybe," he said, honest for the first time. "So I'm just a replacement?" "No. That's not..." "Then what am I?" Tom didn't have an answer. Sat there on his dead daughter's bed, trying to find words that didn't exist. Lily's face hardened. "You promised you wouldn't let them take me." "I know." "Were you lying?" "No." "Then don't." She left. Tom sat alone in Sarah's room. The coat, his gesture of love, his attempt at redemption. And she saw right through it. Saw what he hadn't wanted to admit, even to himself. He was using her. Trying to fix what he broke 12 years ago. Trying to save Sarah by saving someone else. And it wasn't fair to either of them. The coat had flipped meaning. From redemption to replacement. From healing to haunting. Tom buried his face in his hands. What have I done? The courtroom smelled like old wood and diesel heat. And when the judge said temporary custody, Lily didn't look at Tom, just stared at her hands like she'd known all along how this would end. Thursday came too fast. Tom wore his good jacket, the one he wore to funerals. Lily wore the pink coat over a dress Ruth had bought. Too formal. Too much like she was already being handed off to someone else. They drove to Great Falls in silence. 2 hours of gray highway, Ruth in the back, Lily in front, staring out the window. Tom tried once. "Lily, don't," she said. So he didn't. The courthouse was 1950s brick, concrete steps, flags hanging limp in dead air. Inside, fluorescent lights hummed over linoleum, everything beige, everything official. A woman met them in the lobby. 30s, professional, clipboard. "Mr. Mercer? I'm Ms. Delgado, Social Services." She smiled at Lily. "And you must be Lily." Lily said nothing. "We'll just be going through some standard procedures today. Nothing to worry about." Tom wanted to tell her to shut up. Wanted to tell her everything to worry about. Kept his mouth closed. They waited on a bench. Hardwood. Clock on the wall ticking too loud. Other people came and went. A man in handcuffs. A woman crying. A kid younger than Lily holding a teddy bear. "Mercer?" A bailiff appeared. "Judge is ready." The courtroom was smaller than Tom expected. Wood paneling. Montana state seal on the wall. Judge's bench elevated. Made everyone else feel small. Judge Payne sat up there. 50s, steel gray hair, reading glasses. He looked up when they entered. Studied Tom. Studied Lily. Face giving nothing away. "Mr. Mercer, please approach." Tom walked forward. Lily stayed with Ruth. A lawyer Tom had hired from Great Falls stood beside him. "County attorney. Good man." Out of his depth. Judge Payne shuffled papers. "Mr. Mercer, you understand you're not being charged with anything at this time, but the law is very clear. A child without legal guardianship must be placed under state care until family is located, or adoption proceedings are properly initiated." Tom's lawyer spoke. "Your Honor, Mr. Mercer has provided exemplary care for, I don't doubt it." Judge Payne looked at Ms. Delgado. "What's the department's recommendation?" Ms. Delgado stood. "Foster placement in Great Falls while we conduct a search for family and process background checks on Mr. Mercer, should he wish to pursue emergency foster certification." Tom's heart dropped. "How long's that take?" 6 to 8 weeks, Ms. Delgado said. "And where does she go until then?" "Hanson Home. It's a good facility." "Clean? Supervised?" "She stays with me." Judge Payne looked at him. "Mr. Mercer, she's not a case number. Her name's Lily." "I'm aware, and Lily will be well cared for. But the law ain't about care. It's about paperwork." The judge's face hardened. "Mr. Mercer, I'm trying to help you here, but you must comply with state regulations. The child cannot remain in your custody without proper authorization." Tom opened his mouth. His lawyer touched his arm. "Don't." Judge Payne continued. "Lily will be placed at Hanson Home pending investigation. You may visit with supervision. If your background check clears and you complete certification requirements, we can revisit custody in 8 to 10 weeks. 10 weeks? Tom's voice cracked. "Mr. Mercer, I understand this is difficult, but these procedures exist to protect children." The gavel came down. One sharp crack. Court is adjourned. Tom stood there. Couldn't move. Couldn't process. Ms. Delgado approached. "Mr. Mercer, if you'd like to say goodbye." "Goodbye. We have a van waiting. The transition should happen quickly. It's easier that way." Tom turned. Lily was still on his bench with Ruth. She'd heard everything. Face blank. Shut down. Gone. He walked over. Knelt in front of her. "Lily, hey, look at me." She wouldn't. "This ain't over. I'm gonna fix this. Get certified. Bring you home." Lily's voice came out flat. Dead. "You promised." "I know." "You lied." I didn't. Everyone does." Tom reached for her hand. She pulled away. Miss Delgado appeared. "Lily, it's time to go, sweetheart." Lily stood, started to walk, then stopped, turned back. She unzipped the pink coat, took it off, held it out to Tom. "What are you doing?" Tom said. "Keep it." "No, it's yours." "No, it's not." Lily's voice was ice. It was hers. Tom's world tilted. "Lily, you just wanted to fix what you broke. I'm not your daughter." She dropped the coat on the bench. Walked to Ms. Delgado. Didn't look back. Tom stood there holding the coat, pink fabric in his hands, still warm from her body. Ruth was beside him, hand on his shoulder. He couldn't feel it. He watched through the courthouse doors. Ms. Delgado leading Lily down the steps. White van in the parking lot, state seal on the side. Lily got in, didn't look back, didn't wave. Just disappeared into the van. The doors closed. The van pulled away. Tom stood holding the coat his dead daughter used to wear, watching another little girl drive out of his life. Ruth's grip tightened. "Tom." He couldn't answer. "We should go." He nodded. Didn't move. Ruth took the coat from his hands, folded it, held it against her chest. "Come on." The drive back was 2 hours of nothing. Tom drove, stared at highway. Ruth didn't try to talk, just sat there holding the coat. When they got to the ranch, Tom went straight to Sarah's room. Put the coat back in the box, closed it, put it back on the shelf, closed the closet door, closed Sarah's bedroom door, went downstairs. Ruth was making coffee, set a cup in front of him. He didn't touch it. You did what you could, Ruth said finally. Tom stared at the table. I failed her. You gave her 10 days of warm and fed. That's more than she had. That's not enough. Then what is? Tom didn't answer. Couldn't. Ruth sat across from him. Long silence. Outside, wind rattled the windows. Snow coming again. Always coming. You want me to stay? Ruth asked. No. Tom, I'm fine. Go home. Ruth studied his face. Saw something there that made her hesitate. But she stood, put on her coat. I'll be back in the morning. She left. Truck starting. Gone. Tom sat alone at the table. Coffee going cold. House settling around him. He looked at the window. Ruth's lamp still burning, but no one was coming home to see it. That night, Tom couldn't stay in the house. Went to the barn, checked things that didn't need checking. Fed cattle that were already fed. Fixed fence that wasn't broken. Around midnight, he gave up. Sat on a hay bale, head in his hands. Thought about Lily in some group home in Great Falls. Sleeping in a room with strangers. No pink coat, no Ruth soup, no lamp in the window. Thought about Sarah. Always Sarah. 7 years old. Pneumonia. He was in Denver closing a land deal for 8,000 acres. Clara called. Tom, come home. She's getting worse. He said, it's just a cold. Kids get colds. Clara, please. Tom, I'm in the middle of something. I'll be back Friday. Sarah died Wednesday morning. He got the call in his hotel room, drove 12 hours straight, walked into a house that smelled like death and medicine. Clara, standing in the kitchen, face empty. She looked at him and said, you're too late. Then she walked upstairs. She left a month later, moved to Seattle, filed for divorce. Tom signed the papers, didn't fight it. Hadn't seen her in 12 years. He'd told himself it was the land deal, told himself he was building something for them, for the family. But Clara knew, even then she knew. Tom heard truck tires on gravel, looked up, Ruth's truck, 2 in the morning, and she'd come back. She found him in the barn, took one look, sat on the hay bale beside him. They didn't talk for a long time. Finally, Ruth said, you know what your problem is? Tom's voice was dead. I got a lot of problems. You think you failed Sarah? I did. She got sick. You didn't make her sick. I wasn't there. Because you were working, building this. Ruth gestured at the barn, the ranch, everything. For her, for Clara, for your family. Tom looked at her. And look how that turned out. Ruth was quiet. Then, you know what Clara said to me before she left? Tom stared at the ground. He'd never asked, never wanted to know. What? His voice barely there. She said, he loved us so hard he forgot to just be with us. The words hit like a bullet. Tom's chest cracked open. What's that mean? He whispered. Ruth turned to face him. Means you punished yourself for the wrong thing. You didn't kill Sarah by working. The pneumonia killed her. But you weren't there when she was alive. Not really. You were always thinking about the next deal, the next section of land, building an empire for them instead of just being with them. Tom's hands shook. And Lily? You thought saving her would balance it out. Thought you could fix what happened with Sarah by keeping another little girl safe. I was trying to do right. I know, but you can't save Sarah by saving someone else, Tom. He broke. Finally. After 12 years, bent forward, hands covering his face, no sound, just his shoulders shaking. Ruth put her arm around him, let him fall apart. After a long time, Tom managed. Then what do I do? Ruth's voice was steady, certain. You save her anyway. What? Save Lily. Not because it fixes you, not because it makes up for Sarah. Save her because she's a little girl who needs someone to stay. And this time, Ruth's voice caught. This time you be there, not for what you get out of it, just be there. Tom looked up, eyes red. I can't get her back. Judge said 8 weeks, background checks, classes, home visits, psychiatric evil, and then you do all of it. Ruth, you do all of it, and you bring her home. And this time you don't leave. Not for a land deal, not for money, not for anything. Tom stared at her. She thinks I just wanted to replace Sarah. Then prove her wrong. How? Ruth stood, looked down at him. By showing up every day until she believes it. She walked to the barn door, stopped. I'm lighting that lamp every night, and you better be there to see it. Then she was gone. Tom sat alone in the dark barn, hay dust in the air, cattle breathing in the stalls. For the first time in 12 years, he understood what he'd actually lost, not Sarah's life. He couldn't have stopped that. But Sarah's 7 years, every moment he'd been too busy to notice. Too focused on tomorrow to see today. And now Lily. 10 days, that's all he'd given her. 10 days of being there, and it still wasn't enough. But maybe it could be. Maybe it wasn't too late to learn how to stay. For 3 days, Tom didn't touch the phone, didn't check the cattle, didn't eat unless Ruth put the plate in front of him. Just sat in Sarah's room and stared at the empty hook where the coat used to hang. Day 13 since he found her, day 3 since he lost her. Tom stopped pretending, stopped working, stopped shaving, stopped doing anything that required thinking beyond the next breath. Ruth came every morning, fed the cattle, fixed what needed fixing, put food in front of Tom. He ate maybe half. She didn't push. On day 15, his lawyer called. Background checks started. Should have preliminary results in 4 weeks. Then you can start the certification classes. 4 weeks, Tom said. If everything's clear, no red flags. Tom hung up. 4 weeks for a background check, then another 4 for classes and home visits. 8 weeks minimum, maybe 10. Lily would think he'd forgotten, would think he'd given up, would think he was just like everyone else who left. Day 16, Tom drove to Great Falls. Hanson Home was a 2-story brick building on the north side, chain-link fence, playground with swings, sign out front, a safe place for children. He went inside. Linoleum floors, fluorescent lights, smelled like industrial cleaner and institutional cooking. A woman at the desk, not Ms. Delgado, someone else, checked his ID. Visits are supervised. 30 minutes maximum. She led him to a room. White walls, table, 4 chairs, window with bars. Lily came in with a staff member. She'd lost weight, looked smaller, wore donated clothes, jeans too big, sweater with a stain, no pink coat. She sat across from Tom. Wouldn't look at him. The staff member stood by the door, watching. "Hey," Tom said. Lily said nothing. "How you doing?" "Nothing." "They treating you okay?" Silence. Tom tried again. "I'm working on it. Getting certified, bringing you home." Lily finally looked up. Her eyes were dead. Don't what? Don't lie. I'm not." "You said that before." Tom's throat closed. "Lily, I'm sorry." She looked away, stared at the wall. Tom sat there. 28 minutes left. No idea what to say. How to bridge the gap he'd created. "I miss you," he tried. Nothing. "I'm gonna fix this." Lily's jaw tightened. But she didn't respond. The 30 minutes crawled by. Tom talked. Lily didn't. Just sat there like he wasn't even there. When time was up, the staff member said, "Okay, Lily, time to go back." Lily stood, walked out, didn't say goodbye. Tom sat alone in the white room. The staff member came back. "She's been like that with everyone. Won't talk, won't engage. It's normal. Trauma response." Tom nodded, couldn't speak. "You can visit again in a week if you'd like." And Tom drove home. 2 hours, radio off, just silence and highway. When he got back to the ranch, he sat in the truck, in the driveway. Couldn't make himself go inside. Eventually, Ruth came out, opened his door. "Come on," she said. I can't do this." He said, "Yeah, yes, you can." "She won't even look at me." "Then you keep showing up until she does." Tom shook his head. 8 weeks, Ruth. Maybe 10. She'll forget me by then. "Then you better make sure she doesn't." But Tom couldn't move. Just sat there. Ruth finally gave up, went inside, left him alone. Tom stayed in the truck until dark, then walked, not to the house, to the barn, to the fields. Kept walking until he was standing in the middle of nothing. Just white, just cold, just emptiness. This is what he'd built. 12,000 acres of emptiness. He thought about his whole life. Every choice, every priority. The land deal in Denver, the expansion in 79, the grain contracts in 85, the railroad shares in 88. Building, always building, building an empire. For what? No one to give it to. No one to share it with. Sarah died, and he kept working. Clara left, and he kept working. 12 years alone, and he kept working. Because if he stopped, he'd have to feel it. All of it. The loss. The waste. The truth. He loved us so hard, he forgot to just be with us. Clara's words. Through Ruth. After 12 years, finally landing. Tom stood in the field, snow falling, wind quiet for once. Everything still. He thought about Lily. 10 days. That's all he'd had with her. 10 days of getting it right. Of actually being there. Of cooking breakfast and sitting at the kitchen table. And watching her wear a pink coat that was too big. 10 days of doing what he should have done for 7 years with Sarah. And it wasn't enough. Wasn't close to enough. But maybe it could be. If he didn't give up. If he actually fought. Not with money, not with land, not with power, but with showing up. Every day. Until she believed him. Ruth's words. "You save her because she's a little girl who needs someone to stay." Tom looked at the dark house in the distance. One light burning, Ruth's lamp still going. She'd been lighting that lamp for 30 years, every single night, whether anyone came home or not. Staying, just staying. Tom started walking back. Not because he had answers. Not because he knew it would work, but because Ruth was right. Someone's got to stay. And this time, it was going to be him. He walked into Judge Payne's office without an appointment, without a lawyer, and said the one thing he'd never said in 58 years: I was wrong. Day 17, Tom showered, shaved, put on clean clothes. Ruth was in the kitchen when he came down. She looked at him, saw something different. "Where are you going?" she asked. "Great Falls." "For what?" Tom poured coffee, drank it standing up. To end this. End what? The lie. Ruth set down her dish towel. "What are you going to do?" "Tell the truth." "Tom, I'll be back tonight." He walked out before she could stop him. The drive to Great Falls felt different. Not heavy, not hopeless, just clear. Tom knew what he had to do. Didn't know if it would work. But he had to try. He went straight to the courthouse. Up the steps. Through security. Down the hall to the administrative offices. Found the nameplate. Onan. Howard Payne. District Judge walked past the secretary's desk. "Sir, you can't—" Tom knocked once. Opened the door. Judge Payne looked up from his desk, surprised. "Mr. Mercer, if you're here to contest the ruling—" "I'm not." The judge's eyebrows raised. "Then what can I do for you?" "I need to tell you something, and then you'll understand why I can't let her go." Judge Payne studied him, then nodded to his secretary in the doorway. "It's all right, Margaret. Close the door." She did. Left them alone. The judge gestured to a chair. "Sit." Tom sat, hands on his knees, looked the judge in the eye. 12 years ago, Tom started. My daughter died. Sarah, she was 7, got pneumonia. Judge Payne's face softened slightly, but he let Tom talk. "I was in Denver, closing a land deal. My wife called, begged me to come home. I said it was just a cold." Tom's voice cracked. "She died while I was signing papers." The room was quiet, clock ticking on the wall. My wife left me a month later, told me I loved them so hard I forgot to be with them. Tom looked down. I didn't understand what that meant, not until 3 days ago. Judge Payne leaned back, watching. "I've been punishing myself for 12 years, built an empire. For what? Nobody to give it to? Nobody to share it with." Tom looked up. "Then I found Lily by those tracks, and I thought, maybe this is how I fix it. Maybe I can save her, and that'll make up for failing Sarah." "Mercer, but I can't fix the past by saving someone else. That ain't fair, to her or to Sarah." Tom's hands tightened. "I gave Lily my dead daughter's coat, thought it would heal something. But all it did was make her think she's a replacement." Judge Payne was silent, face unreadable. Tom forced himself to continue. "She gave the coat back. In your courtroom. Told me I'm not her father. And she's right. I'm not. I'm just a broken old man trying to fix something that can't be fixed. Well, then why are you here?" Tom met his eyes. "Because I'm not saving her to fix my guilt anymore. I'm saving her because she's a little girl who was left in a blizzard to die. And someone's got to stay." The words hung there. Judge Payne was quiet for a long time. Then he took off his reading glasses, rubbed his eyes. "Mr. Mercer, do you know why I became a judge?" Tom shook his head. "Because I believed the law could protect people. That if we had good rules fairly enforced, we could keep people safe." The judge's voice went quiet. "My daughter's 26 now. She's been in and out of rehab for opioids since she was 19. Tom didn't expect that. "I did everything right," Judge Payne continued. "Followed every rule. Sent her to the best schools. Made sure she had structure, discipline, order." He looked at Tom. "And I lost her anyway, because rules can't fix pain, and love," his voice caught. "Love isn't about being right, it's about being there." Tom saw it, the same wound, different name. Judge Payne put his glasses back on, looked at Tom with new eyes. "The law says you can't have her," the judge said, "but the law is insufficient. I learned that the hard way." Tom waited. "I can't override the system entirely, but I can expedite." Judge Payne pulled out a form, started writing. "Standard certification takes 8 weeks. Background check, home studies, psychological evaluation, parenting classes. I'll do all of it." "I'm not finished." The judge looked up. "If you're serious, truly serious, I can authorize emergency review. Compress the timeline to 2 weeks." 2 weeks? It won't be easy. You'll need to complete everything simultaneously. Background check, home inspection, 20 hours of parenting education, psychological evaluation, and 3 supervised visits with Lily. Miss any component, fail any requirement, and she goes back into the system permanently. No appeals." Tom's heart pounded. 2 weeks. Can you do it? Tom thought about 12 years of building an empire alone. Thought about 10 days with Lily. Thought about Ruth lighting a lamp every night for 30 years. Yeah, he said. I can do it. Judge Payne handed him the paper. Bring this to Ms. Delgado. I've authorized emergency placement review. She'll coordinate the requirements. Tom took it, stared at the words, couldn't quite believe it. Why are you doing this? He asked. Judge Payne looked at him, really looked at him. Two men in their 50s, both carrying dead weight, both trying to figure out how to love someone, right? Because my daughter called me last month from rehab. First time in 2 years. His voice went quiet. She said, Dad, I don't need you to fix me. I just need you to show up. I realized I'd spent her whole life trying to make her perfect, according to rules I thought mattered. He looked down, and I missed her, all of her. Tom understood, completely. I can't give you your daughter back, Judge Payne said, and you can't give me mine. But maybe, he gestured at the paper, maybe we don't let another one slip through. Tom stood, held out his hand. Judge Payne shook it. Don't thank me yet, Mr. Mercer. 2 weeks, everything complete, or it's over. I won't fail. I believe you. The judge walked him to the door. And Mr. Mercer, when you see Lily next, yeah, don't tell her you're sorry. Show her you stayed. Tom walked out of that courthouse with a paper that felt like a second chance. He went straight to Ms. Delgado's office, gave her the authorization. She read it, looked up at him with surprise. Judge Payne signed this personally. Yeah. She studied Tom's face, saw something there. Okay, this is highly unusual, but she pulled out files. You'll need to start immediately. Background check's already in process. I can schedule the home inspection for Monday. Psych eval Tuesday. Parenting classes start Wednesday, 4-hour sessions for 5 days. I'll be there. And the supervised visits. When can I see her? Ms. Delgado checked her calendar. Saturday. But Mr. Mercer? She looked at him seriously. Lily's been shut down since she arrived. Won't engage with staff, other children, anyone. These visits need to show progress. She needs to demonstrate willingness to return to your home. She will. You sound certain. Tom looked at the paper in his hand. Authorization for emergency review. Signed by a judge who understood what it meant to fail someone you love. I am, he said. That night, Tom sat at the kitchen table, Ruth across from him. He showed her the paper. She read it, looked up. 2 weeks? Yeah. I know. Ruth set it down. You really gonna do this? Tom looked at her, at the lamp burning in the window, at the kitchen where he'd shared milk with Lily at midnight, at the house that had been empty for 12 years until 10 days ago. Yeah, he said, I really am. Ruth's eyes filled. Thomas Mercer, after 30 years, you finally figured it out. Figured what out? That staying's harder than leaving, and worth more, too. Tom nodded, throat tight. Ruth stood, went to the stove, came back with 2 cups of coffee, set one in front of him. Then you better get some sleep. You got a lot of showing up to do. Tom picked up the cup, first coffee he'd been able to drink since the courthouse, 3 days ago. It tasted like a beginning. When she walked out of Hanson home carrying nothing but the pink coat he'd brought back for her, she didn't smile, just looked at him and said, You came back. Day 30, 2 weeks exactly. Tom stood outside Hanson home, clean truck, clean clothes, paper in his pocket saying he'd passed everything, background check clear, home inspection approved, psych eval completed, 20 hours of parenting classes finished, 3 supervised visits, where Lily finally looked at him. Miss Delgado came out first, then Lily. She was carrying a paper bag, everything she owned. She saw Tom and stopped. They looked at each other across 10 feet of sidewalk. Tom held up the pink coat. He'd brought it, washed it, repaired the tear in the shoulder, folded it careful. Thought you might want this, he said. Lily walked over, slow, took the coat, held it against her chest. You came back, she said. Not a question, just a fact she was testing. Yeah, Tom said. Why? Because I promised. But you broke it. I know, I'm sorry. Tom knelt down, eye level. But I'm here now, and I ain't leaving. Lily studied his face, looking for the lie, the crack, the moment he'd leave again. She didn't find it. Is this forever? She asked. Tom's throat closed. Long as you want it to be. What if I mess up? Then we'll figure it out. Lily looked at the coat, then at Ruth waiting by the truck, then back at Tom. Small nod. She put the coat on, zipped it up. Tom stood. Ready? Yeah. They walked to the truck. Ruth opened the back door. Lily climbed in, buckled herself, Tom started the engine, pulled out onto the street. They drove in silence. Highway 87 south, gray sky, fields still white but the hard edge of winter breaking. After 20 minutes, Lily spoke. Can we stop somewhere? Tom looked at her in the rear view. Where? The tracks, where you found me. Tom's hands tightened on the wheel. You sure? Yeah. He looked at Ruth. She nodded. Tom took the county road turnoff, drove to the spot, same place. Burlington Northern tracks cutting across empty land. He parked. They got out. Lily walked to the tracks, stood exactly where she'd been kneeling 30 days ago. Tom stood beside her. Ruth stayed by the truck. The wind was quiet, snow melting in patches. First signs of spring somewhere underneath all that white. Lily looked down the line where the train had disappeared that first night, where she'd watched and waited for people who never came back. I waited 2 days, she said. Thought they'd come back. Tom's chest hurt. I'm sorry. It's okay. Lily's voice was steady, calm. They're not coming. No. Lily turned to face him. Kid eyes, but not dead anymore. Not empty, just clear. You know what's funny? She said. What? You didn't find me by those tracks. She looked right at him. I found you. Tom froze. The words landed like light. What? I was the one dying inside. You were too. Lily's voice was soft, certain. We found each other. Tom couldn't speak, just stared at this 8-year-old girl who'd just taken his whole broken life and turned it into something that made sense. She was right. He hadn't saved her. Not really. She'd saved him. From 12,000 acres of emptiness. From 12 years of punishing himself. From dying alone in a house full of ghosts, she'd saved him by needing him, by letting him try again, by giving him a reason to stay. Tom knelt. Right there in the snow, reached out and buttoned her coat. Properly. All the way up. Made sure it was tight against the cold. Something he'd never done for Sarah. Always too busy. Always rushing. But not now. Not with Lily. His hands shook. He finished the last button. Looked at her. Thank you, he whispered. Lily tilted her head. For what? For letting me stay. She thought about that, then nodded. Okay. She looked at the tracks one more time. The place where she'd been left. Where she'd waited. Where Tom had stopped his truck and made a choice he didn't understand. Can we go home now? She asked. Tom's voice broke. Yeah, let's go home. They walked back to the truck. Ruth was crying, didn't hide it, just wiped her eyes and smiled. They drove back to the ranch, sun breaking through clouds, light hitting snow, everything melting towards something new. When they pulled up to the house, Ruth said, I'll make soup. And Lily said, Can I help? Ruth looked at her, smiled. Yeah, child, you can help. They went inside. Tom stood on the porch for a minute, looked at the fields, the barn, the house. It was still 12,000 acres, but it wasn't empty anymore. That night, Ruth lit the lamp like always, set it in the window. But this time, Lily asked, Can I do it? Ruth handed her the matches, showed her how. Lily struck one, held it to the wick, flame caught, yellow light steady behind glass. There, Ruth said. Now everyone knows someone's home. Lily looked out the window, at the dark, at the light reflecting back. We're all home, she said. Tom stood in the doorway, watching, seeing Ruth and Lily at the window, light between them. In the distance, a train horn called, low and long, fading into night. Lily heard it, didn't flinch, didn't tense, just turned to Tom and asked, What's for dinner? And Tom smiled. For the first time in 12 years, he smiled. Whatever you want, he said.